Welcome. Today we are going to discuss Marvin Morris' poem Judas from post-colonial angle. Post-colonialism is a type of literature written against the colonial domination not only of land but also the mind of people. Through this resistance, colonial authorities are given a reply, and most early example of this type of literature are French Fanon's Wretched of the Earth 1961, and most importantly Edward Said Orientalism 1978, and lastly from Indian side we can take Gayatri Spivak's Post Colonial Critique 1990. These texts remains the background or foundation to make criticism of some poem or establish them as a post-colonial work. In Judas' poem, we are trying to do the same thing. Earlier, most of the literature related to colonial countries are dominated by European or the Western countries. They try to present or they openly present them in a way they think themselves. For example, Karl Marx openly say that India is a backward country or backward civilization, and Europe, especially the Britain, has power to develop it. He criticized the religiosity and cultural domination of this country by saying that these people are worshipping monkeys and other animals. So there is a attack not only on culture but also on the religion of the country, and this way they establish their supremacy. But after post colonialism or after post colonial, or we can simply say World War II, things change. Now these colonial countries are given reply to them, and we can take several example of it, like the very famous novel Red, This Earth of Mankind, that is Indonesian novel, is a kind of reply to that. Earlier, if we go back to just before independence, we are seeing Sajjad Jahi came A Night in London, and several other writers in the same time were writing a kind of literature, but that is Indian side. But if we go with the other aspects like China Achebe's Things Fall Apart is also in this category, and if we go with the black literature, then we are having Toni Morrison's Beloved and Bluest Eyes. So these novels are a bit different, but our aim here is to go with poem Judas. Judas is a type of poem which changed the scenario of looking at the way biblical theme of Christ. This theme is presented in a new way, and the way we can criticize European countries religion or symbols or allusions which they respect. For example, earlier they criticize their religion, culture, language, and establish their supremacy through education by force or foil, or even by domination over them through power. So things change now. These countries are giving reply, forfeit reply to them through their literature, and Marvin Morris' poem Judas is perfect example in this line. And Judas is changing the narrative of poem or the biblical story or the Last Supper of Christ in a way how post-colonial people look. And the Last Supper, where Christ is betrayed by Judas. This theme is seen from new angle, and here Judas is presented as a colonial person who is looked down as inferior, And if someone is inferior, then definitely the person will resist to gain respect. And same is done by Judas, and he give information that this person is Christ, and the kiss was symbol. So this kiss was on one hand is symbol of freedom. This is the point where Aristotle's master and slave relationship is broken. So this slave is no more slave, now he wants freedom. And this kiss is a peaceful resistance or betrayal of this colonial figure. And although this person was given, Judas is given respect by keeping them in among top 12 people, but his status was much lower as compared to other. At least the person thought in his mind, and he is not getting what others are getting. So this make him to go against against Christ. And this theme make him more important. For example, the very line, that evening, not so long ago, the master's fingers in the dish. This is taking root back to the Last Supper. And another line that I say, did I choose you 12? Yet one of governs a devil. And here the things are becoming new, like foundation of resistance is laid down and action is left. Later on things move on, and same thing applied. And such kind of portrayal of Christ in a negative light brought anger of the Western world, because it was their symbol for respect. And when you criticize one symbol, it brought several kind of resistance or anger. This poem was banned several places, negative criticism were given. But what European countries or Western world was doing during the colonial tenure, the same country is giving back or paying their due. They were criticizing their symbols, their respect, and now it is returned to them. Earlier, education was less, and that is why people were not going to criticize them in a way they want. But now all people are educated, they know how they can interrogate a person's culture. And this domination of culture goes through it. So whatever we have master slave relationship, the things are broken. And in a kind of post colonial way, we can take another example of William Shakespeare's play Tempest is seen in a post colonial way, where Caliban is seen as a person who is colonized by the outsider. And this way, the colonizers are trying to give education and calling him brute, uncivilized, backward. So these are the terms associated with them, and these things are also there. So Judas, that time, Caliban was not able to resist, but the new Caliban, that is Judas, in this poem is doing it. Now Judas will take responsibility of his doom or success or development or profit with him, and he will not stay with the Christ. He can survive without Christ. And they have their symbols, their motive, their feelings, and now it is time to take them to another level. And this was the theme that is presented here through several symbols. And Caliban's Prospero is a kind of a person that is a middleman. In other word, we can say Judas type of people were those through the help of them, British, French, or other countries are making their foundation strong through colonization. Once this middle person is gone, that become very hard. And now we can apply it in India's case. The forefathers of Indian political leaders, Gandhi, Nehru, Jinnah, or any other big name that we have, they were serving the Britishers. But these were among those who came forward and resist them in a way or other. And later on, we they are joined by some extreme revolutionary like Bhagat Singh, Subhash Chandra Bose, and others, and with the help of them, India get freedom. So these earlier people were those, their forefathers were those who were serving Britishers in a way or other. But later on, when the younger generation revolt, India's future see a new dawn. And similarly, this Judas become a symbol of hope for the colonizers, and they revolt against them. In that sense, we can say what the colonizers were doing with this colonized country early, now they are paying back through the education, literature. And earlier Britishers, French, or other colonial countries interrogated the religious symbol of colonized country, now they are interrogating their own religious symbol. So this is just a reply to them. But religion is a thing that we can easily interrogate through one thing or another, and it becomes very easy for other people to say that our feelings are hurt. But literature is literature. So this is not tit for tat, but for a kind of gestures that one way, the way one can read a text, we can read it through Foucault's discourse, or other kind of aspect can be applied, post-colonial, post-modern. And the way revolution, radicalism, and other colonized type of thing. So this way or that way, this poem is very strong, and at least one has to read it to see how post-colonial mind is looking, working, thinking, and doing action on the direct part of literature, and how you can interrogate a person who is colonizing one thing or other. So with this, I will say thank you for your time.